Aloha, I'm Lyla Berg, and we're here at Hawai'i Pacific University, ready to meet the people who inform, inspire, and impact our daily lives. Thank you for joining us on Island Focus. Going?
We are on the second floor of Aloha Tower Marketplace. We call it our waterfront lofts residential community. We have 360 residents that will live here in the fall semester.
Wow.
Every unit has at least 4 students living in the apartment, and so students get to really be in community here.
So 4 students together, do they have a kitchenette area?
It's a kitchenette. They share a bathroom, a common space in the living room as well. And what's beautiful about being here at Aloha Tower Marketplace is that it's really a living, learning community.
And here we are in the room.
We are.
A loft as well.
Yes, it's a 2-bedroom unit, 1 bathroom. Again, this is our living space. And students get to bring in their own dishes and cookware and learn those skill sets.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
With us today on Island Focus is Sam Moku, who is the Vice President of University Relations here at Hawai'i Pacific University. So nice to see you again.
Aloha, Lyla.
This is a new role for you.
Yes, a new role. Seems kind of familiar with being a part of the community and getting out there to bridge partnerships on the private sector as well as our public sector.
And maybe I should rephrase that. It's a new location for you.
New location, yes.
Just as this is a new location for Hawai'i Pacific University.
Yes, yes, our home here at Aloha Tower Marketplace.
Can you give us a little background on how that shifted from Fort Street Mall?
We needed to have an anchor down at the Makai end of Fort Street Mall, and so we invested ourselves to acquire Aloha Tower Marketplace.
I love the idea that you are downtown, but also it's a safe refuge for students.
The university started off as a downtown urban campus, back in 1965. And we want to continue that, and we want to bridge the east and west of our Asian and Pacific Ocean to where everything culminates here in Honolulu.
Can you give us a brief summary, I guess, of what makes this university different?
What makes this university different is we're a small, private, and nimble university. We can look at making programs that are very innovative. We can look at advancing our programs to what is happening in the market currently and in the future. And so our faculty members have played an important role in helping us navigate those waters where education, the landscape of education is changing so quickly, and the workforce is changing. So we have that ability to kind of change on the dime to focus programs that will meet our market demands.
And what I appreciate so much about HPU also is that you attract international students.
We are heavily in the European side, Sweden, Germany, Norway, and they bring different perspectives into the classrooms. We have small classroom sizes. Our faculty members help bring together, put together a team of good programs for our students that are kind of more relevant in today's world. And you get to hear, as local students, Asian students, or European students, different perspectives on how they view different things.
I think it's wonderful to include different parts of the world in the curriculum
Yes.
of what you're doing, because my sense about HPU is it's not just academic.
No. It is about getting our students out there into the community and understanding, Hawai'i and how they can take some of that back with them wherever they go back to work.
And I think you have a new logo.
Zig Zane, a great designer, came in over about a few months ago to help us put together a design that really grounded us here in downtown Honolulu. The logo describes many different things, especially our values that we are adhered to, which is aloha, pono, kuleana. In his design, he places those values within there, as well as the educational enlightenment side. And so within the ahupua of Nu'uanu, the flowing streams from the Pali all the way down into Mamala Bay kind of shares that educational enlightenment where it all bleeds into our education.
Well, it's very exciting to hear that aloha spirit and Hawaiian values are alive and well even in the international community. Thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you, Lyla.
We've been chatting with Sam Moku, who is the Vice President for University Relations here at Hawai'i Pacific University. Appreciate you being with us. I'm here at Hawai'i Pacific University with Scott Morishige, who is the Governor's Coordinator on Homelessness. Appreciate you being with us today. Thanks for taking time out of this huge responsibility you have.
No problem. I'm happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
So please help me understand, how do you get through the day looking at this issue?
Well, you know, homelessness, I think one of the challenging things about it is it's not a black and white issue. It's not something that we're going to be able to solve overnight. And I think really it's an issue that has many different layers, right? At its core, it's an issue about people who are struggling with different challenges, ranging from poverty, people who are very low income, so lack of affordable housing in our community. Also people dealing with mental health or substance use addiction, even physical health challenges. And it's all of these things layered on top of each other. But I think at the end of the day, what in my position, what I'm trying to do is really connect all of the different pieces, all of the good work that's being done at the state level, the county level, in the community by nonprofits, really align it and keep it focused so that we're able to really make a difference. And even if it's just one by one, end homelessness for people who are experiencing it in our community.
You know, with such a gigantic situation and your vision, of bringing the pieces together, how were you prepared for this responsibility?
Fortunately, I have had the opportunity to work at many different places that have given me direct experience, with people facing homelessness, whether it's as a social worker. I have my master's in social work from the University of Hawaii. I worked at a variety of nonprofits. I actually got my start at the Salvation Army working in their food pantry and emergency rent program. And from there, I went to different places such as Legal Aid, Helping Hands Hawaii. I actually then transitioned to philanthropy, spent a year at the Hawaii Community Foundation. And I also worked at the state legislature. And so I think all of that experience together has really allowed me to view this issue from different lenses, and I think that's really helped. And it's really allowed me to kind of have empathy, for the people in our community who are going through this challenge.
Well, I get the sense that in addition to empathy and some professional background, you also have something that moves you to try different locations so that you can fulfill this vision of helping people.
When people think about homelessness, you think that it's something that cannot happen to someone like me, right? And when I was growing up, I had a really good friend that had the same background as me. He was a middle class Japanese, local Japanese
educated
kid. Yeah, and he was my really good friend up until maybe middle school. And then when we went to different high schools, I lost track of him. And several years later, I was working downtown and I ran into him, and he had actually fallen on hard times, and he was homeless. He had lost his home. His family had asked him to leave, and it really hit home for me that this is an issue that can happen to anyone. Mm-hmm. And a little bit later, I found out what had led him to fall into homelessness is his father had passed away right after he graduated high school, and I thought, this really could have been me, because that's that was my situation also. My father unexpectedly passed away when I was in college, but for a circumstance, right, any of us could find ourselves in that situation. Again, homelessness at the end of the day, it's an issue about people, and this is a challenge that our friends and neighbors in our community are going through, and it's something that could happen to anyone.
What thought do you have on how we might alleviate our own fears as we look at the homeless situation?
Well, I think sometimes the homeless situation seems so daunting, like there's no progress, no changes happening. One of the things is the point-in-time count results of the homeless population just got released a few weeks ago, and it shows a trend that the numbers have gone down statewide for the second year in a row,
great.
and on Oʻahu it went down for the first time since 2009. And I think that's happening because people from the community are starting to come together. We have new projects coming online that provide housing, like the project off of Sand Island, the Kahauiki Village. So I think that there's hope. That people can come together, and people are coming together, and that we are starting to make a difference and kind of starting to turn the tide on this issue.
Well, thank you very much. I think it also speaks of your leadership, and I appreciate you being here.
Thanks for the opportunity.
We've been chatting with Scott Morishige, who is the governor's coordinator on homelessness. Mahalo for tuning in to Island Focus and joining me in meeting Susan Furuta, who is the Chief Operating Officer for Helping Hands Hawaii. So good of you to take a few minutes to be with us today.
Thank you for having me here.
We've heard of Helping Hands Hawaii, but perhaps you could give us a little more background on what the organization is.
Sure. We're a nonprofit social services, community services organization. We've been around for over 40 years in the community, and we empower and support people to be self-sufficient in their lives and towards community.
Now, you've been there for several years, and I don't think I've ever interviewed with you before.
17 years to be exact, yes.
So for staying in an organization that long, it must have meaning for you.
It's a special company to be with. I've connected a lot with them because in my past I was born and raised of a plantation, and it's all about community there. And it's great for some place to be able to help vulnerable or people at risk or people in need. So our lines of service are mainly to help with people who are struggling with mental illness, homelessness, addictions. Language access is another provided service, as well as for those who are struggling with poverty.
So you have many different facets that the organization addresses, and different projects as well?
What we do is look for donors, as well as we encourage fundraising support to get school supplies for our needy kids in the community. So each year we help about 8,000 to 9,000 children statewide. And it's a wonderful program that businesses and individuals can hook onto and help support.
So school supplies, meaning pencils and computers,
paper,
as well?
binders, backpacks.
So basics.
Yes, the basic needs. A lot of people who are struggling in poverty will focus on what is their basic needs. So, to pay the rent, the utilities, for food. And so sometimes the cost of school supplies is something that they can't bear alone. So agencies like ours will go in to help out. And there's generally about 88,000 kids statewide that may need that support. So any kind of support would be great to have.
It's hard to envision that basic school supplies would be kind of the easiest thing to donate.
It's very easy. I think that if any of us go into any of the stores here, and it's easy to pick up another pack or two of folder paper and donate that over to our warehouse and come down. They can volunteer if they aren't able to purchase and donate that way.
So that's one of the projects, and you have several others.
We do. At Christmas time, we have our Adopt a Family that also runs through our warehouse. But our warehouse is unique in the way that it's operating every day, Monday through Friday, 8 to 4:30. And what we really rely on is the donations from our community. So people like yourself who would like to provide a new or gently used item like a mattress, furniture, clothing, can come down and donate. And what we do is work with our agency partners in the community to provide that back to families at no charge.
So as we wrap up our conversation today, what's a message that you'd like the audience to leave with?
If there's some way that you can possibly help out, there's many ways that you can do that. Go to our website, helpinghandshawaii.org. You can click onto our RTL and fill out a partner form, and they can do that and help us provide that service.
And be a hand that helps you too.
Correct. Yes.
Well, thank you for being with us
Thank
today.
you so much, Lyla.
Appreciate meeting you. We've been chatting with Susan Furuta, who is Chief Operating Officer with Helping Hands Hawaii. Appreciate you being with us. So we're in the sports arena now.
It's actually the esports arena.
Esports arena. Tell me a little bit more about that, what that means.
All right, so esports consists of competitive gaming. And so it's basically multiplayer video games on a competitive level. And it's also leading the charge for the next generation to really come up and, to grow in the technology field, right?
This is quite an amazing setup.
Thank you, thank you.
And so the students, what do they learn here?
What do they learn here? Well, they
Besides having fun gaming.
But that's the best part, right? But that is part of what they learn here, right? Being creative is kind of part of what esports has become. Also, you learn to be innovative. You learn how to use modern day technology. It's actually the forefront by having things like this VR station here, where this gentleman is over here playing some fighting games over here. But it involves not only critical thinking, but it involves physical aspects, as well as many different areas that we're looking towards, maybe in like the medical field and things like that, to maybe work on surgeries and give students that type of education.
Skill building.
Set, exactly.
So there are courses also that support this.
There will be, yes.
Wonderful.
So this was actually our first semester we opened up. We opened up on February 21st.
And you have heroes up here.
Oh, yes. So this is our team that we actually have already here. They're competing in the University League of Legends.
First in the state, right?
Yes, ma'am. This is the first arena in the entire state of Hawaii.
Well, thank you so much for sharing this
No
amazing
problem.
space. It's very unusual.
Oh, thank you.
We have the opportunity today to meet retired Navy Captain Chuck Merkel with the Submarine Museum at Pearl Harbor.
Hi, good afternoon, Layla. Thanks
Good
for this
afternoon
opportunity.
to you. I don't know very much about submarines, so maybe you can enlighten us.
Okay, sure. Well, the USS Bowfin was a World War II submarine, launched on December 7th, 1942, commissioned on 1 May 1943. So she was nicknamed the Pearl Harbor Avenger. She made 9 war patrols in the Pacific, and then after the war, she was decommissioned and in late 70s targeted to be dismantled. But through the efforts of the Navy League out here and naval officers at the time, she was saved and then donated to our association in 1979. And she's been on display at Pearl Harbor since 1981. Just last month, we had our 9 millionth visitor. And in 2017, we had a record year with over 400,000 visitors from all over the world.
We don't hear very much about submarines, and so a submarine museum would certainly help us understand more.
Right.
But you're a former submarine
Yes, I am.
person, I
Yeah,
guess.
Yes. Yes. So the submarine force has always been known as a silent service, so we don't talk about a lot what we do, and sometimes we're our own worst enemy in that regard, because there is a lot that the public can know. The submarine force made a major contribution to World War II. We were the only naval forces that were ready to take the fight to the enemy out here after December 7th, 1941. And really before the end of 1941, several submarines went on their first war patrols and took the patrols to Empire of Japan and started the fight. Through the course of the war, submarines accounted for over 5 million tons of Japanese shipping that was sunk. Over 60% of their total merchant fleet was sunk by submarines and 35% of their warships. And at the time, the submarine force was only about 2% of our Navy, so a pretty amazing accomplishment from a relatively small force. It did come at a tremendous price. 52 submarines were lost and almost 3,600 men.
We see a lot of movies where
Right.
submarines are featured. What would make someone want to become, especially an officer
Right.
in that business?
Well, it's very challenging, so I think anybody looking for a challenge, it's exciting. I think that's what drew me at first, a little bit of intrigue, and then just how challenging it was. It's a lot of hard work, I won't deny that, but it's very rewarding.
So if there's a message that this museum might offer, what would that be?
A lot to learn about the submarine's contribution to World War II. Then through the Cold War, the submarines contributed significantly to that. And then even today, the United States has always been a maritime nation, and as such we need a strong Navy, and a vital part of our Navy is our submarine force.
So the Bullfin is on display,
Yes.
and would the museum be on the submarine, or?
No, it's actually on the grounds, our grounds, so it'll be about a 13,000 square foot museum when the renovation is complete, but we've had a facility open for almost 30 years for a museum. So.
Is it possible to go on the submarine?
Oh, absolutely.
How will I feel when I leave the submarine?
I think you'll have an appreciation for what the sacrifices those men did to go serve. I mean, it's cramped, but you know, everything on the submarine has a purpose. So you get an appreciation for where they worked and lived, and the sacrifices they had to make.
Well, I appreciate your time. Thank you so much for sharing, and
Yeah.
we'll look forward to finding out more.
Yeah, great. Thank
on
you very
another
much.
show. Thank you. Retired Navy Captain Chuck Merkel with the Submarine Museum at Pearl Harbor has been our guest, and nice of you to join us. Thank you for joining me in conversing with Captain Paul Marino, who is the captain of the lifeguards on the south shore of Oʻahu. Appreciate you being here,
Well, thank you.
taking a time away from the sun.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of sun out nowadays. I went through a big rainy period there.
So the south shore means what part of Oʻahu?
We run the South Shore, which would be from Wanalua Bay
In Hawaii Kai.
in Hawaii Kai to Pearl Harbor.
Wow.
That's the South Shore district.
And connected with city and county, are you?
Yes, city and county employees, and we fall under the emergency services department, and that's our ambulance friends who are there backing us up all the time.
So some of us who grew up on the beach kind of looked at lifeguards as a bit of a glamorous profession, but there's a lot of responsibility there.
That's true. Yeah, people think we're really cool. It's a cool job, but comes with a lot of responsibility. People's lives are in our hands, so we have to stay alert. We have to stay tentative and focused on the people in the water. That's a great responsibility. If someone should lose their life or someone should get injured, it's like a pebble in the pond. There's a ripple that runs out to all the families connected with that person. So it's not just the person who gets injured or drowns. It connects to their families, and it's really emotional.
Well, and being a lifeguard requires a lot of technical training too, not only life-saving, but also with jet skis and how to surf and
Right.
other resources.
When I first came in the department, there wasn't as much technical equipment as an AED and a positive flow oxygen unit. And things have really changed with all this equipment. Our service, our ability to keep people stable for our brothers in the EMS to come and pick them up, it's improved greatly. And like you said, the rescue craft jet ski, that has just opened doors at saving lives. We're actually able to get to people sooner than paddling a surfboard or swimming.
So how does one prepare to be a lifeguard besides liking the ocean?
Most of the lifeguards that have come through our system are watermen and women, people who spent their life in the ocean. But now we're running a junior lifeguard program for young kids in their teenage age. We're teaching them how to help the lifeguards and save people who are in trouble that allows a lifeguard to get there.
So do they sign up for this, or you recruit, you go to the schools?
Oh, yeah. There's a website that the lifeguards have that you could go on and sign up for these summer programs. And we have a great program, and we have an awesome competition at the end for all districts and all islands, because the junior program is on every island, including Oʻahu.
So growing up on the beach, as we were chatting, you and I didn't really think about the difficulties that could happen in the ocean.
When people go into the ocean, they bring their illnesses with them. So it's not necessarily someone drowning because a wave knocks them or because of an undertow taking them away from the beach. A lot of our emergencies are medical conditions. So the lifeguards have been trained at EMTB. That's the same type of qualifications our EMTs have, and it's helped us in performing.
So EMTB is like CPR and...
It's a stage above CPR and advanced medical care.
So if you had a word to the wise, either those in the water or those wanting to be part of the lifeguard profession, what could you say?
I would want to reach out to the young adults who have children and say it is really your responsibility when you bring your children to the beach to watch them. You know, you be there with them in the water. Don't be up cooking in your barbecue and allow your children to go down to the beach and play, because a lifeguard has a lot on his plate, and to babysit your children is something that he just can't do. So if you see someone in trouble, dial 911 right away. Dial 911 right away if someone's in trouble.
Yeah.
And if you have a boogie board and you want to float out there and hand it to them and stay away where you don't become part of this drowning experience, we encourage that too. And we teach that in that junior lifeguard program.
Well, thank you very much for your time and for sharing your enthusiasm for the water.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me.
We've been meeting Captain Paul Marino, who is the captain of the lifeguards on the south shore of Oahu. Mahalo. Mahalo to Hawai'i Pacific University for hosting us today, and to you for tuning in to Island Focus. I'm Lyla Berg. Aloha and malama pono. Take care of each other. See you soon.